say this right now. The people that have been saying like this is a slippery slope from skill points, I feel like that, like I actually come the opposite way. Like Rain, I love Rain. Don't get me wrong. Like she's a great streamer. I'm very happy that she's on TIS. She's got really good opinions about a lot of things. I can disagree with people that I like. My problem is that her argument was that there have been all of these checkpoints up until now that these other people like Manac and Rain and all these people have like drawn as their line in the sand, and we've crossed by them. You know, when CCP came for the skill points, I said nothing because I didn't rely on my skill points. When CCP came for the selling skills for cash thing, I said nothing because I have enough skill points that I don't need to spend cash. And then they came for me, and there was nothing else, nobody left to speak out for me. Like, I feel like that's kind of the argument that she's trying to make, right? Like that, like, yeah, you've been screaming about it for years. And while you guys have been making this argument that like, this is moot because we've already crossed so many other thresholds, I would actually argue quite the opposite. As I believe at least argued, if not demonstrated in this conversation, those previous checkpoints actually ended up not being overly destructive things in the game. So I would argue just for consideration, that every single time we freak out about every little thing, regardless of whether or not it's important or not, you know, when we rage out in Jita because of compression changes that were never even confirmed, when all of these different things, when we threaten to burn Jita or like shoot at the monument over every fucking thing, every balance change that they make, when we outrage so often, it's the boy who cried wolf. Why should CCP take this outrage seriously when we've outraged about so many other things that were so trivial and demonstrably, in the end, not important? We actually undermine our own ability to take a stand when we take a stand at every point. So I'm not saying this is necessarily true. I'm not saying you're the problem or whatever, but like in the same sense that she can say that, you know, we should have made a stand earlier. What I say is that we should have had a more defensible position. And I think that outside of like the idea of skill points being sold at all, like skill injectors, like that was the other threshold. I'd agree with you there. The existence of skill injectors, skill extractors was a big thing. I'm totally okay with that being a discussion. I'm totally okay with people having a problem with that. It was a big fucking deal for us to digest. You could argue about whether or not it was necessary or not, blah, 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 whatever, cool. This is as big of a threshold as that, I would believe. And it doesn't even have the added advantage of arguably being good for the game, right? Like, you could argue that the introduction of like selling skill points and giving skill points and login rewards and all this sort of shit is a necessary evil to keep the game updated. Selling retrievers for cash is not a necessary evil. It's a cop-out for them not being able to teach people how to fit a retriever. So I would argue that it's even worse than that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that at every single step of those way, I didn't say that, you know, that, like, I wasn't outraged but didn't argue about it. I said, like, no, this isn't the line. And it isn't, like, I hate that slippery slope thing because that's just like saying, like, we're going to waste all of our outrage on this small thing rather than actually being firm about what we believe the line is and holding to that. But again, that's just my opinion about it. Notice I'm not like getting super passionate about that piece. It's just something I thought about. Because, you know, when I get told that, like, it's me not standing up earlier that ended up being the problem, I'm like, I feel like we should, if we had made a united, if we had said, if when CCP came out with the destroyers, we were like, well, this is fine because of, you know, the other thing, but what's important is never selling something that is exclusively built by players, right? If we had always had that as our standard, then we'd be able to make a stand right now. But no, we've just gotten upset at every single change. in one degree or another.